Hey, this is Jesse with Createthis. Today we're going to do the Hackintosh software installation video. I've promised it for quite a while, but I ran into a snag. You know, I built those two Hackintoshes over Christmas break. They were for my boys, and once I put it together, I couldn't really do an install video anymore. I did 3 installs over Christmas break. 2 of them are in use, the other one was a failure. For whatever reason, I think I was in a time crunch and I just didn't have time to make a video about the installation. So what I've done is, I have bought a Samsung SSD. It's a 250 gigabyte. It's just like the 120 gigabyte SSD that I showed in the other video, except it's a larger capacity. I'm ultimately going to dual boot the Hackintosh with Windows 10 in preparation for the Oculus Rift. But today what we'll do is we will take this SSD and we will do a fresh install of Mac OS X El Capitan, and I'll just walk you through the whole process so you kind of get a feel for it. And then after the cameras stop rolling, I'll wipe the hard drive and I'll start over with Windows 10. I'll probably film that too, because why the hell not? You'll need a couple of things to do this. The software installation is a little different in that you need a Mac to make a Mac. To install Mac OS X, you need either a MacBook or some other kind of Mac. Borrow a friend's, whatever, but you download it through the App Store, and I'll show you how that works. And then you need some sort of installation media. We don't use floppy drives anymore. We don't use CD-ROMs. We use flash or SD memory. And these I bought, this is a 2-pack that I bought for less than 20 bucks on Amazon. They are SanDisk 8 gigabyte cards. Mac OS X El Capitan takes about 6.5 gigabytes, so an 8 gigabyte card is fine. You know, these are fine for taking pictures if you have a camera, but you don't want to take like 4K video on these. They're a little slow for that. So cheap, readily available SD cards. Okay, so with the SD cards, they're going to fit on my MacBook here, they're going to fit right in the side, okay? That's how I'm going to download El Capitan and put it onto the SD card. However, when I'm actually putting El Capitan onto my Hackintosh, I don't have an SD card built into the chassis of the Hackintosh. So that's what this is for. This is a Unitech it's like a 3-in-1 USB 3.0 SD card reader. The SD card goes there. It's got a slot for compact flash, micro SD, whatever. This is a great little reader. I actually bought this so that my boys can use the Hackintosh to populate an SD card with G-code files for printing on my Ultimaker 2 Plus 3D printer. But we're going to repurpose it and use it for this video. It's a little different because the SD card slot, you would think that the SD card would go in like this, but it actually goes in upside down. So that's the only part that's a little different. Do you have to have this particular model? Do you have to use SD cards? No, you don't. This is actually what I used for the initial video when I was doing the installs myself. I have a number of digital cameras. They use SanDisk compact flash cards. So I just repurposed some of my old 8 gigabyte SanDisk compact flash cards, and I had an old reader sitting around. So you can use whatever you want. However, I've got the links to these products on Amazon down below in the description of the video. So if you just want to pick something up quick and easy, check it out down there. They're affiliate links. It just helps me support the channel. I get a small cut when you buy those through me, but it doesn't cost you anything. I just get a commission, and it helps me support the channel and keep making awesome videos. All right, let's get started with this. The first step when you're installing a Hackintosh is to go to TonyMacX86.com. Now, you can use whatever site you want. I find this one's the most straightforward. Then you click on Installation Guide. Okay, and I mean, basically, you're just following this step by step. And we might put a couple of little tweaks in there because I've got a GTX 970 card, so we'll need like the NVIDIA web drivers to get all that working. We'll deviate from the norm a little bit, but if you've got like an NVIDIA 740 card that's already supported by Mac OS X, you literally follow this step by step, and it just works, as long as you're using supported hardware. Okay, so the first step, step number 1, download OS X El Capitan. Okay, so it says open the Mac Store, Mac App Store. So that's down here. Open that up. And while that's opening, yeah, we're going to log in, and then we're going to download OS X El Capitan. Helps if I spell it right, huh? Okay, there it is. And I guess we're just going to get. Okay, so if we want to see the progress of that, we've got to go to Launchpad. Which I think I can find in Applications. It's usually down here in the bar, but I've removed it because I don't use that much. Launchpad, there we go. Okay, so there's our download, and we'll just wait until that finishes. So now we've got this install OS X dialog. We're just going to exit out of that. We don't need that. If you want to find where this has been downloaded to, you can find it in Finder here. So I'll show you how to get to that real quick. You go to Finder and Applications and install OS X El Capitan. So we could run this to install it on this laptop if we wanted to, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to move this over to the SD card in a minute. You can see that this is a 6.2 gigabyte file. So back to our Tony Mac x86 page here. Download OS X El Capitan. The application install OS X El Capitan will appear in /applications. Indeed it did. Step 2, create a bootable USB drive with Unibeast. So this is where we use our SD card. So insert the USB drive. In my case, I'm going to use an SDHC card, and I'm just going to insert it into the slot on my MacBook Pro that accepts SDHC cards. If you have a USB drive, go for it. I've actually got both of my USB ports filled up right now for filming. I've got a removable hard drive in one port, and I've got my microphone in the other, so I have to do it this way. So the SDHC card is in there, and we're going to open up Disk Utility, okay? So Finder, Applications, I'm going to go down to Utilities, and we're going to find Disk Utility. All right. Now, let's see, what does it say to do next? Highlight the USB drive in the left column. Okay, so in our case, it's not a USB drive, it is a SDHC card. So we highlighted that in the left column. Click on the Partition tab, click Current, and choose Partition 1. So we're going to click on the Partition tab. We're going to click Current, we're going to choose Partition 1. Click Options, choose Good Partition Table, okay? Options, Good Partition Table. So we're gonna click OK. Under Name, type USB. We're just gonna follow this word for word. Under Format, choose Mac OS X Extended Journaled, not case sensitive. Click Apply, then Partition. Apply, Partition. Okay, great. Download and run Unibeast. Unibeast 6. Download. Oh, and the weird thing with the Tony Mac website is you have to be logged in to download these things. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. All right, hit the download button. There comes Unibeast. It's an older Apache web server or something because there's no progress indicator. All right, we got it. Let's open it up. Okay, there's Unibeast. Open. And for some reason it starts up in the background, so I had to Command Tab to run it. And we're going to click Continue, 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 Agree. I believe those are the instructions. Let's click back over to our tab. Continue, 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 Agree. Okay. Then you're going to choose the USB and click Continue. And you're going to pick El Capitan. Choose Continue. GUID is UEFI, and MBR is legacy. So we're going to do UEFI because this is all brand new hardware. We are not going to inject any of this stuff because we have newer NVIDIA cards, not older NVIDIA cards. Okay, so this is just a verification screen, so we're just going to click Continue, put in my password, and while that's running, we're going to have to download multibeast. So we'll download multibeast for El Capitan. Click the download button. This takes a little while because it's installing a 6.5 gigabyte file onto the SD card. Okay, multibeast is downloaded, so let's open that up. All right, and we'll wait for this to finish. And let's see, I think it wants us to drag multibeast to this. Let's take a look here. There's an OS X base system that's opened. Maybe this is yeah, that's a red herring. Okay, so yeah, so this installation process will sometimes pop up windows that you really don't need to worry about. So that's kind of an important side note. Just ignore those. The installation is still going on in the background. Do not drag multibeast at that stage. And we're done, finally. Sweet. Okay. Process will only take about 10 minutes, depending on system and drive speed. So again, I don't know if these SDHC cards are just incredibly slow, or if the SD card slot in the MacBook Pro is slow or what, but I think that took way more than 10 minutes. Step number 18, drag multibeast to the completed USB drive. All right. So here's our multibeast, and there's our USB drive right there. So I'm going to drag that over. There isn't enough free space, oh no. Well, what we'll do is, I've got two SDHC cards, so I'll just put multibeast on the second SDHC card, and I think that'll work. So we'll eject this, put in the new SDHC card. It's called No Name. We'll rename it. We'll rename it to multibeast. Okay, and we'll drag our multibeast over, and we'll eject it. Okay, so step number 3 is going to be BIOS setup and things like that. I will go over that shortly. All right, so I've got the case off of the Hackintosh yet again. And you can see I've got a GTX 970 here. You can also see that I've got power going to the GTX 970, and I've routed it down the back of the cage here. The power for the hard drives is also routed down the back. I've got the Wi-Fi card in the slot above the GTX 970. And the reason why I did that is because the fans from the 970 blow down. So I could put the Wi-Fi card right here, but I prefer to leave that unobstructed. There's my existing 120 gigabyte SSD. I'm just going to remove this entirely from the system. I'll put it back in after I make this video, but for now, we're just going to take it out entirely. Set that aside. Here's the new SSD. Okay. Now, everybody gave me shit about not, you know, mounting this thing to the drive cage. You know, in all fairness, I didn't even realize that these mounting holes existed, but they do, and so that's how it's mounted. Let's go ahead and do that now. All right, I think I've got the correct thread pitch this time. It's a whole bunch of screws in my little box that I saved that came with this case. Yeah, there we go. First two are probably the most difficult. After that, it kind of holds itself in place. Shit. Okay, so that's mounted now. You guys can get off my back. Let's see. Grab these cables. There we go. Slide that puppy back in. Good to go. Now I'll just flip it over and show you guys the back for cable routing posterity. All right, so this is my cable management setup. You can see that I've got the power cable for the CPU going from this bottom grommet up to the top up there. These little cable tie things, this is tight. I've got a lot of stuff in here right now, but I love these things. They're fantastic. So what you can do is you just push on them and they come off. However, you have to be careful because here it looks like it's got two levels of like, see how it's stair-stepped there? It's got like two levels of tightness. So you want it on the outside notch there, because if you get it on the inside notch, it's going to make your cable ties way too tight, and it's not a lot of fun to work with. But yeah, I love these things. Totally toolless. Don't have to worry about it. You can see the back of my drives here if I need to. But I try to route the cables so that I don't need to take off the back cover to replace the drives, because I don't really enjoy doing that. But yeah, nice, tidy, clean cable management. All right. Boot this thing up and install Mac OS X. I don't really have a way for you to follow along with the Tony Mac x86 instructions, so I'm just going to read them out as I do this. So step 3 says recommended BIOS settings. It says CPU. If your CPU supports VTD, disable it. So for this particular BIOS, let's go into classic mode, so F2. I don't like that fancy GUI crap. And let's look at the CPU settings. So I think it's going to be BIOS features. Okay, and here's VTD down here. And you can see that that is indeed disabled. That's what it should be. Step 3.4 says if your system has CFG lock, disable it. I don't remember seeing a CFG lock here, so I'm not going to worry about that. If your system has secure boot mode, disable it. This does have secure boot mode, I believe, but I believe it's also disabled. Let's see, fast boot, boot mode selection, UEFI, that's important. Security options, system, yeah, so whatever. I mean, it's fine the way it is. OS type, other OS, and I believe we have that set down here. Other OS, Windows 8 features, other OS. If you have a 6 series or X58 system with a Ward BIOS, disable USB 3.0. I don't. Save and exit. Okay, so let's save and exit using the mouse over here. And I'm actually just going to exit because I don't need to save anything. Everything's all set up. So I'm just going to hit escape, exit without saving. Yes. Okay, and it's going to boot. And here's our bootloader. I'm going to interrupt it. So this is the USB boot mode. At the Clover boot screen, choose Boot Mac OS X from USB. When you arrive at the installer, choose Language. Let's try it this way. I think this is going to cause problems because I think the GTX 970 is going to not work very well. But let's see what happens here. So we'll just we'll boot from USB here. There we go. See what happens. We got a reboot, so yeah, bad things happened. That's no good. So the Tony Mac instructions say if you're having issues reaching the installer, first make sure you're using a USB 2.0 port. If you're using a NVIDIA graphics card, you may want to enter the extra boot flag NVDisable equals 1 to reach the installer. Let's try that. I'm a little worried that this is going to be a problem. But let's try it out. So to do that, let's see, I think we go into options And we go here, and we type in NV, oh, we hit enter, okay, and then we type in NV_disable equals 1, hit enter again. Now you can see like it put an underscore where Dart is. That's okay, because we're just going to hit escape here, and we're going to go to Clover boot options, and we should be able to see, I'm sorry, start EUFI shell maybe? No, we hit spacebar on that one. And we should be able to see our boot options, yeah. So right above this here, right here, you can see options, Dart equals 0. So it did actually put that underscore there, so that's fine. And our NV disable is in there. So again, if I hit escape to get out of this, when you've got the external hard drive selected, you can click the spacebar on your keyboard, and that allows you to see your boot options, which is really handy. So we're gonna try booting Mac OS X this way. And we can also try verbose if we want to see where the kernel panic is. Oh, was that a reboot? Nope, we actually have a window. All right. And another loading screen, great. So now we're going to do use English for the main language. Click the little next button. To set up the installation of OS X, click continue. To repair your disk using disk utility, restore your computer. So going back to the Tony Mac x86 instructions, it says, for a new installation of OS X, you must erase and format the destination drive according to the following steps before continuing. In the top menu bar, choose Utilities and open Disk Utility. Okay, so we're going to do that. Utilities, Disk Utility. It says highlight your target drive for the El Capitan installation in the left column. So we're not going to install it to USB, that would be silly. We're not going to install it to the Seagate drive because that's my storage drive for the boys. We want to install it to the Samsung drive. Okay, so we select that. Click the erase button. Erase. Name, type El Capitan. For format, choose OS X Extended Journaled. Okay. For scheme, choose GUID partition map. Click erase. Close disk utility. Okay. Erase. Done. And we'll close the disk utility. Okay, step 7. When the installer asks you where to install, choose El Capitan. All right. Continue. Continue. Agree. El Capitan. And we're installing. Okay, here we go. Auto restart. The instructions say, upon completion, the system will automatically reboot. Step 5, post-installation with multibeast. Multibeast is an all-in-one post-installation tool designed to enable boot from hard drive, this time choosing El Capitan. All right, let's do that. So, you know, it doesn't actually say El Capitan in the menus here. You'll notice that you have external, which is your USB drive. You've got HFS, which if you look down here at the bottom, does indeed say El Capitan. And then you've got this recovery thing. I don't know what the hell that thing's for. So we're going to boot from El Capitan. I'm not sure if that's going to carry over our NV disable equals 1 flag or not. Okay, let's try that again. So this time, let's see, we're going to go down to options and hit enter. NV disable equals 1, enter, escape, HFS, spacebar. We do indeed see our NV disable equals 1, so boot. Yay! Okay, so it says open and run multibeast. No, does it? Is that what it says? Okay, it says complete the OS X El Capitan setup. So we'll do that. US keyboard layout. My Wi-Fi network is called Trev. You don't get to know what the password is. Continue. Okay, do you want to transfer information? No. Do I want to enable location services? No. Don't use. Don't sign in. Skip. Agree. Agree. Create a computer account. Call it Jesse CreatethIs. Account name Jesse. Password test. 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 Continue. Yeah. Oh, come on. T. There we go. Time zone. Right about there-ish. Hey, that was cool. I don't want to send diagnostic information because this is a Hackintosh. Continue. All right, keyboard setup assistant. Continue. Press the key immediately to the right of the shift key on the left side of the keyboard. That would be a Z key. Press the key immediately to the left of the shift key on the right side of the keyboard. That would be a slash. ANSI. Done. Okay, now we're not done yet. We're almost done. We're not done yet. So now we've got open and run multibeast. Now, the problem with this is I didn't have room on that one 8 gigabyte SD card, so I put it on a different SD card. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to... Boy, is this going to work? Yeah, we're going to try this. I'm going to eject USB. Okay. And then I'm going to pop out my El Capitan card, and I'm going to pop in my multibeast card, okay? There's multibeast. And I'm going to drag this right here for now. And then I'm going to eject this. Okay, I'm going to pop out my multibeast card, and I'm going to pop in my El Capitan card. Okay, so now I've got multibeast on the desktop, and I've got all that other crap over there. All right, so it says open and run multibeast. All right, so I'm going to run it. Yep. I think I'm just going to change my recommendation to 16 gigabyte cards. When I did this just before Christmas, 8 gigabytes was enough, but it seems like it's not anymore. Okay, so here's multibeast. It says in the instructions, in the Tony Mac x86 instructions, which I guess I could pull up right now on this screen, but I'm not going to. It says, if this is a fresh installation, click Quick Start. EUFI boot mode is recommended. It says, choose the appropriate audio and network options for your system. So I guess the next thing that I pick is drivers, audio. Now, okay, so I'll just pull up the Tony Mac x86 website. This is the problem when you're running the GTX 970 without the web drivers. It gives you all this garbage on the screen, so I'm not even sure that this is going to work, but we'll try it. So Tony Mac x86.com, and we're going to go to the buyer's guide. We're going to find our motherboard, and in this case I'm using a GA-Z97 HD3, and it says for the network it's a Realtek, and for the audio it's an 887. So let's 887, I'm guessing it's the newer one. Looks good. For the disk, doesn't really say anything about the disk. I don't think any of that matters. I don't think any of that matters. Network, it's going to be a Realtek. 8111FVL. So we'll go with that. Okay, bootloaders. I guess that's already set, so we don't need to worry about that. Customize gives you some further options. We don't want to inject NVIDIA or anything like that. We're not running a Sandy Bridge. System definitions. Yeah. So Mac Pro 3.1, I believe, is fine for this machine. Click print or save to back up your configuration. So we will save it. And I'm just going to save it to the USB drive if it's small enough. So we'll call this multibeast config. And we'll save it right there. Okay. And then it says click build, then install. So build and install. To continue installing, yeah. License agreement. Okay, and this is going to be test for the password. Okay. And it's doing some stuff. It's doing the stuff. Doing the things. Now let's see, which version of Mac OS X are we running here? We are running 10.11.3, which is perfect, because I believe that's a fully working installation of the web drivers. So at this point, we can install the web drivers, which would be really cool, because then we could reboot into a fully working GTX 970. So why don't we go ahead and do that? I don't remember the website off the top of my head, so give me a second. NVIDIA web drivers 10.11.3. And yes, Insanely Mac is where we get them from. And 10.11.3, I believe this is a fully working driver for the 970. I've heard reports that this one does not work for the 970. There's like a Final Cut Pro crash associated with this when you do transitions. This one, however, does work, so try to stay away from 10.11.4 for now. All right, here's our download. Click on that dude, continue, agree, install, test, continue installation. Okay, so now they want us to restart. Now, when we restart, we're going to actually be restarting without the USB. So as soon as this machine reboots, I'm going to pull the USB SD card drive thing. So I'm going to wait until I see the boot menu thing, because I don't know if it's removed the USB card or not internally. You can see a little spinner thing on the screen there. Okay, pulled the USB cable. Okay, so this is actually booting from the hard drive now. So let's take a look at the boot options that we're booting up with. So it has us booting with Dart equals 0 and NVDA_DRV equals 1. That is what you want, because that'll load up. You need this to be there in order to load up the NVIDIA web drivers. So I'm gonna hit enter. It's so exciting. Is it gonna fail? Is it gonna work? What's happening? Ha ha! All right, how awesome was that? So now we've got our NVIDIA WebDriver control panel here, which shows that the 970 is operational. If we click on updates, it shows the version that we're running. We can choose, if we want, to switch over to the OS X default driver, which, you know, just doesn't work very well. You get all that crap all over the screen. So that's pretty much it. How to install OS X 10.11.3 using the Tony Mac x86 installation tools. I'm Jesse with CreateThis. I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions or comments about this installation process, please feel free to leave me a comment down below. Again, check the description down below for links to the SD cards, the USB sdhc card reader. I'll even include a link to the Game Capture HD and the hub that I'm using. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.